show. Learn how to help your body and your cells feel rejuvenated each day through proper nutrition, sleep, frequency medicine, and many unconventional methods of self-care. I'm Jodi Suson. Join me and my amazing guests by calling in at 515-605-9325 and press 1 to speak. We'll help you achieve a breakthrough in your health today.
Well, good morning, everybody. So welcome to Self-Care, and I'm so excited to share with you an amazing soul. Her name is Carly Rose Bergman, and I'm going to bring her into the stream now.
Aloha. Good morning.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm just grand this morning.
Yes, Grand Rising, right?
Grand Rising, right.
Interesting. So we have several people who host on the Female Solution different days of the week. And they always say Grand Rising. And I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah.
I finally got it.
Yeah. So good morning. I had someone, I used to say good morning all the time. And then I had a friend say Grand Rising. I'm like, why are you saying Grand Rising? She's like, because in the English language, there are so many spells with our words. Like if you think about it, good and then morning, right? So good morning, it's like contradictory. And there's so many things like that in the English language. And then in different lineages or languages or religions, they consider that a spell, right? So words are spells. We know this. So
all words are spells.
Right.
All words are spells, which is why I'm writing the book. Words are just vibrations in the air.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. So always Grand Rising.
Grand Rising. And I get myself out of the good soon.
Right. Yeah.
Cancel.
Right. Yeah.
So I am excited to share with everybody. So tell the world, what had you get into what you do today? And for those who are listening, Carly is a permaculture farmer, wild forager. She's an enthusiast for sustainability. She's a mushroom lover. We all love mushrooms because they're so grounding and so healthy. And at the beginning of my show, I said in my commercial, what if you could live to 120 with vitality, right? Mushrooms. Okay.
Yeah, right. So I originally got into holistic health when I was 15 years old. I started working at a juice bar in Chicago, suburbs outside of Chicago, called Pure Juice Cafe. And so I was this 3-sport athlete: cross country, volleyball, softball, musical theater. Just very conventional kid. And then I started working at this juice bar and started learning about animal agriculture, pesticides, Monsanto, the banking system. Yeah, I had a lot of immigrants that I worked with, just everything.
Do you have maybe more than one window open? Because you're
no. Let's see. Does this help?
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. You're awesome.
Yeah, no worries. So I just started working with a bunch of different people from all over the world and learning so many different things, just becoming more cultured. That's when I originally kind of learned about Grand Rising and words are spells and vibration, psychedelics. And so at 15, I got into holistic healing, and that's why you and I connect so deeply, because we're on that same wavelength of organic, non-GMO, no natural flavors, just the whole, there's so much to look into with health. It's not just organic, right? So I decided to take it a step further and go into foraging and gardening. So I went to Florida Gulf Coast University. And my dad, when he dropped me off, he goes, "This place is Gilligan's Island," because it's in Florida on conservation land. So it's like beautiful. it's in a forest. So I would be walking to class. There'd be a crocodile, there'd be an alligator, there'd be a rattlesnake. There were panthers on campus, bears on campus, like so many birds. It was beautiful. It was such an amazing place in Fort Myers, Florida. And from there, that's where I started to study permaculture. And we'll get into that because there's so much to share that I did at Florida Gulf Coast with permaculture and edible landscaping internships. I did so many cool projects, but yeah, that's basically just where I ended up. And I was gardening all the time, foraging all the time in between classes. That's where I fell in love with mushrooms and just wild foraging and healing myself, not only through, medicinals, but through medicinals that I pick and harvest.
Well, yeah. And, it's interesting. You talked about all the animals that you came across or do come across. You wouldn't know this, even though we chat so often. My father, he was an amazing man, and he just loved animals, and he came from nothing, by the way. I mean, like from absolute nothing. He was working since he was, I think, 7 or 8 years old cleaning fish, because his father, wasn't available. And so he was supporting his family as a child. But he followed his passion. And one of his passions, was nature. And so he would, of course, I was allergic to everything back then. So every forest walk was a, price to pay.
Wow.
Yeah, not anymore, since I reversed it all. But he loved animals so much. He rented out. Do you know of Wild Kingdom? So Wild Kingdom is like this huge organization that had all the wild animals. It was very famous, I think, back in the 60s, 70s, and 80s before you were born. And he rented out Wild Kingdom. So we had an elephant, we had a monkey, we had a pelican, and it was all at our house. I know.
Animals to your house?
To our house. Yeah.
Wow.
So he built this, for like a few days for my sister's birthday. It was like,
oh, that was possible. That sounds like a circus.
It kind of was, but in Highland Park, Illinois, it was there.
Wow. Who would have thought?
I have pictures to prove it.
Wow.
And I have actually people that I went to grade school who came by who will validate that we did this.
That's wild. Just a monkey in your living room hanging out with Jodi.
So the monkey was actually in the foyer. The elephant, my father built a cage for the day. And the pelican was at the pool. And it was like, he loved nature. So if he couldn't go to it, it came to him.
Wow. That's wild.
Yeah. And of course, I went back to Wild Kingdom in a few days.
Right.
Yeah.
Easy.
It was a little different. But so anyway, I have a video that I would like to play. And it's of you and I and Matt Ortlund, who is an EMT who couldn't join us today because he's doing what he does, which is EMT work. And we will miss him today. He might be able to pop on for a little bit. We're not sure. But it's important that he does his work. But this is foraging your food. Do you want me to play that now, or?
Yeah.
Okay. So let me,
I love these videos.
they are just so much fun, right? So let's see. I'm going to share that. And hey everybody, this is Jodi Suson of Suson Essentials, and we are in beautiful Bussy Woods here today, and we're going to learn about foraging. Do you know that you could actually just live off the land? Mm-hmm. Yeah, because God created, what we need. So I'm going to invite 2 good friends of mine onto the camera, and wave hello everybody. So introduce yourselves.
Hello, I am Carly.
And what are you guys going to talk about today?
So we are walking this trail today, and we're going to talk about composting. We're going to talk about foraging, and we are just the beginning of the trail. We already found some edible plants.
So which is the one that you found down there?
Edible for deer also.
Ooh. Okay. So why don't we start with the humans, and then Matt, and then we can start on the deer and why it's so important that we know. Thank you.
The moment for a moment. So, I get my apple. So right here we have plantain.
And I'm going to take a close up.
Cool. So you know it's plantain because of these seedlings right here. And so this is edible. The leaves are edible. You can put them in salads. You can eat it plain. And so the cool thing about plantain is that you can use it internally for respiratory health. It helps with urinary tracts, but also it helps with bug bites and poison ivy. So if there's poison ivy, which there is all over here, you can crunch it up, and then you can rub it on your skin. And that's something really important when you're out hiking, etc. If there's poison oak or there's poison ivy, just know that there typically is a plant nearby that you can use to offset those toxins in your skin and draw out the venom and the toxins. You can also use it for wasps and ticks as well.
Wow, ticks. And so if I don't have my essential oils with me, like Terra Shield, which also repels ticks, just get myself some plantain.
Yeah.
And what book are you holding?
So this is your book, and it's called Body into Balance,
Okay.
Herbal Guide to Holistic Self-Care.
Yeah, so this is really cool. And this is where I learned about holistic self-care as well. Matt, talk about the deer and the clover, because we have clover down there too. Yeah, you get your apple back. Okay.
Use a little patch of clover, super easily identifiable because that's that little 3-leafed little St. Patrick's Day.
Nice.
The lucky ones have four
Right.
leaves, so you can eat those. But during this time of year, this is mostly what makes up a deer's diet because it holds so much moisture. And animals usually like to get most of their moisture from what they eat as well. And actually, if you just pick it up and eat it too. You can make kind of clover salads out of it.
What does it taste like?
Actually, like
Pungent, right?
salad.
Yeah.
Like a regular old meat.
So what did it say about nitric oxide? Isn't it a great source of nitric oxide too? I think that's what they said when we looked it up.
It holds so much moisture. It holds that moisture and all that nitrogen in the ground.
So that's really cool. Now, I think, not to be silly, but we are. So if you're deer hunting, talk about that.
So actually on the property I hunt on down south, we plant entire fields of clover as food plots to help attract deer, and they get used to feeding on those plots year round. And the clover will come back every year. And the funny thing about clover is we almost don't have to watch it at all. So if you're planting other things for deer plots like alfalfa or watching over apple trees or something like that, the clover doesn't have to be watched and comes back every year. So it's a really hardy plant and also attracts the pollinators, just making that whole ecosystem that you plant the clover on just a very complete ecosystem. We almost don't have to watch it at all.
That's amazing. Any other last words about clover or plantain?
Yeah, so clover, like we were talking about, is really high in nitrogen, gives nitrogen back into the soil, nitrogen fixation, and then that way we're not only preventing erosion of the soil, so for any animal agriculture, etc., but it's just really nourishing and again keeping the ground moist for abundant plants. And then again nearby, there's so many other edibles because of the clover.
Cool. So we're gonna pause here, but we're gonna go look at some other plants, right? All right.
Do it.
All right, so we are back. How cool. Oops. You just gotta love technology because the choice. You gotta love it for the good and the not so good.
You're way better at it than I am, so.
Well, I've been practicing on my craft, in front of everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Win some, lose some.
That was so fun, and I love that book that you had. There's hundreds of plants in that book that Jodi has, and basically we just went through each plant, well, we didn't go through each plant, but you can open the book, go through. If you find a plant, an edible near you, you identify it, you go through and you're like, oh, I found holy basil, and that's good for the lymphatic system and inflammation in the body and lowering cortisol. So it's really interesting how we think certain plants are just, I mean, edibles are all around us all the time. I was on a walk the other day and I found some dandelion, and most people think dandelions are weeds. And I'm like, no, they are so medicinal. They're great, again, for the lymphatic system, nervous system, really good for the digestive system. You can drink a cup of dandelion tea and you got to go to the bathroom like that.
That's what I'm drinking right now. I'm drinking dandelion coffee. It has dandelion tincture. It has echinacea tincture. Echinacea is right out in echinacea, I think, is the state flower. Mm-hmm. And then it also has burdock root, which we talk about later.
Right.
So echinacea is for your immune system. Burdock root, lymphatic, plus managing your blood sugar levels, and I mean, getting rid of parasites, as we talk about later. But this is that, all of that is in my coffee,
right?
Which is really not coffee, it's dandelion coffee,
right? And
6 different mushrooms.
Oh,
and cacao powder.
Wow. Yeah. Exactly. And that's the thing. I mean, again, these plants are all around us. They serve such an amazing purpose. Echinacea is one of those that's super adaptogenic, as well as the mushroom. So wherever you are with hormones and cortisol, and it just brings you back to a homeostasis and that natural energy all day instead of coffee. I've never really been a coffee drinker. I go crazy when I have caffeine. And even if I have cacao, actually, I get super jazzed up because there's natural caffeine in cacao. But it is such an easier, slower boost than coffee, where then you just have coffee and you're crazy, and then you crash at 3 p.m. and you need another cup. With this dandelion tea, it's like an equal all day, and then equal energy all day, and then you're constantly getting those other benefits for your blood sugar and nutrients, micronutrients, and straight from the earth. Mushrooms are so powerful. So
well,
powerful.
They really are. And you brought up a really good point, Carly. So when I was drinking coffee, and even I had some of the best organic coffee on the planet, right?
Right.
Tasted great, good for you, if your body can handle it. My body can't, right? I get too much energy, hyper laser focused, where I can't be taken off task. That's not pretty. Right? It's important to know who you are, right? And what your body can tolerate. And so for those of you who are listening and you have, let's say, a mood swing and you're an avid coffee drinker, you may want to consider that coffee is contributing to these moods, right? What do you think about that, Carly?
Oh, totally. Totally. I mean, for me, when I would have coffee, I'm a very sensitive person. The more I've gotten into this lifestyle, again, I got into holistic healing when I was 15 years old, and I've always been sensitive, but really that just went ding, and I have become super sensitive to a lot of things. So even if I have a sip of alcohol, like kombucha beer, or if I have like a taste of coffee, my body picks it up right away, and I almost start having, like, I don't want to say heart palpitations, but a little bit of anxiety, because it's like out of my natural state, which I enjoy being. And for me, I've just come to this point in my life where, of course, like, it's fun to have a kombucha beer and dance sometimes. And that's super fun and social and great. But at the same time, I know how to create that within my own body. And I'm able to do that with caffeine as well. And the fact that I'm not reliant on it is such an amazing thing. And I have built this lifestyle up, I think, really because of mushrooms, particularly chaga mushroom and
regulates the immune system.
Yeah, right. And chaga is one of my favorites. Reishi mushroom for energy, the mushroom of immortality, right? Anti-aging.
A lot of people claim that it also kills cancer cells.
Yeah, I'm sure. Yeah.
I mean, we can't say that, but we just kind of did that. Some people say that, right?
Some people say that, as well as some people say it about hemp too. and
some people.
Right, yeah. But they're crazy. So yeah, it's just really beautiful. And speaking of, since we're on that topic of curing things, I've witnessed some people cure themselves of a lot of diseases with, including cancer, with sunflower sprout juice. So sunflower,
Really? Can you tell me about that? Because I'm not aware. So go for it.
yeah. So my past partner, he was diagnosed with cancer, testicular cancer, and he actually did have to have a testicle removed. But instead of doing chemo, we were juicing sunflower sprout juice. I juiced him sunflower sprout juice, broccoli sprout juice, wheatgrass juice, alfalfa sprout juice, really throughout the day.
Broccoli sprout is so powerful and full of sulforaphane, and sulforaphane is known to kill those free radicals in your body.
Yeah, and that's what it did. I mean, it was crazy. So that we were living in Delray Beach, Florida, and there was a bunch of greenhouses with people doing a lot of sprouts. And I do have a friend, Gideon's Hydro Farms. They actually, it's one of my friends, Allie, and she grows her own sprouts and ships them to people. So if anyone needs some sprouts, she ships them around
Can you
states.
add that? Can you send that as a text or there's a chat in here in our system if you're able to see that. I'll actually send you a note in the private chat to pop up. If you want to put her information in there, I'll share it. Gideon Hydro Farm. You're so fast. You said, "Ooh, we lost Carly for a moment," but we know where to go for the farm. So she'll be back on in a second. And meanwhile, what I will do is play. You know what? We'll go to commercial. Oh, she's back. Here we go.
Yeah, apparently I can't do the chat.
Your approach?
Out.
I can't tell you how many times I've had the fat finger. So not last week, but the week before, I had on Dr. Susie Warden, and I lost my electricity, right?
Oh, no.
So I finally get it back on, and I come in, and she's teaching everybody about posture. She takes over the show. She's perfect. I'm like, you are amazing.
Oh, amazing.
You know, Wonder Woman.
That's amazing. I love that. Thank you for bringing up posture too. Yeah, I needed that reminder. As a yoga instructor, I should do better. But so what were we talking about? Okay, so the microgreens, and microgreens are so nutrient dense. And at the farmers market that you vend at, when I was visiting Chicago, there were a ton of microgreen farmers with sunflower sprouts, and it's an easy process to grow yourself. If you get micro coconut fibers, you can really grow a lot of microgreens. So easy, really inexpensive. The craziest nutrients ever to throw in smoothies, throw in salads. You can juice them, eat them plain. But really, I mean, they say that there's like 300 times more micronutrients in a broccoli sprout versus actually eating the broccoli itself.
Well, yeah. I mean, that's what I learned. And I think that was part of that one book that you were holding up in the in the video. So I'm going to share. So some people don't know what microgreens are and what they look like. So I'm just going to make life a little easier for them. Hold on. All right. So these are microgreens. Do you want to explain that, Carly? So that, I mean, isn't it part of like that? It's like they don't get to the nutrients are in those like small buds.
Right. So if you see this large picture all the way on the right where it was, that's
this one.
Harvest the microgreen. So it's never actually going to go into, it's not going to become a broccoli or the actual vegetable. It's going to stay as that sprout, and then you can harvest it. And then once you harvest it, it'll continue to regrowing given good conditions. I think you can get like 2 or 3 harvests out of most microgreen sets. And actually you could get an indoor. Okay, so this is a fun idea. I'm really big on sustainable zero waste living. And for one of my Christmases with my family, we did a zero waste Christmas. So I gifted them all a bunch of like reusable bamboo toothbrushes, stainless steel razors, reusable bags, zero waste kits. And then I gifted my mom indoor grow lights for the basement in Chicago. So she was growing vegetables like garlic, ginger, sprouts, spinach, lettuce in the basement. And
like what I do.
Yeah, just like Jodi does. Jodi, you have a garden tower, right? So
yeah, I do. and I really love it. And I'm trying to get the Gideon's Hydro Farm up right now. Here we go. There we go. Is that a better picture, Carly?
Oh, there we go. Oh, so cool. Right. Yeah. And Allie does the process so well. I mean, she tries to be as sustainable as possible. She's growing on coconut fibers and her sprouts are amazing. She helps women all over the world with abuse, getting out of abusive relationships. She has helped so many people that I know, including myself. And what she did for me was get me on a regimen to consume a lot of microgreens because it lowers the cortisol in your body and it gives a flood of micronutrients, which can really help with adrenal fatigue and brain damage. And it can help with neurons in your brain, similar to psilocybin. So, really interesting stuff. It's extremely helpful. It's some of my favorite foods for increasing minerals in the body are really just microgreens, mushrooms, shilajit, sea moss, and CBD hemp. And those are just the perfect combination to get your body back into balance, as well as, you got the aromatherapy, so many different.
So I love, and we can talk about aromatherapy, but talk about, because I can talk about that all day, but talk about sea moss, because I can't.
Okay. So yeah, sea moss has, I believe it's 98 minerals in there, including iodine. So it's from the ocean, right? Typically, it's the one that I get is from the Pacific. And basically, I have some in my apartment, so I should have grabbed it. But basically, it literally looks like sea moss. I mean, moss, right? And I grew up working at Pure Juice Cafe making lemon meringue pie sea moss desserts. And you throw just sea moss in these desserts. You can throw it in a smoothie. It's like a gel-like substance and just floods your body with minerals. It tastes amazing. I think my brother Johnny is on here, and I went to his house to California and we were making taking sea moss shots for energy instead of coffee. It's really good for digestion. You can even put on your skin as a facial. It's really beautifying, hydrating. So that is one of my favorites. But since we're on the topic of aromatherapy, I just want to show all the viewers what I picked from my garden this morning for, free aromatherapy that people can grow on their windowsill, right? So I have some mint right here. And I typically never drink plain water. I'm always throwing herbs in my water. So I put mint in there, and I have some lemon balm.
Well, let's talk. Hold on. What does the mint do? Do you know?
Mint?
Yeah.
Oh, mint. I mean, it's crazy. So mint will give you energy. It's known to lower testosterone in the body. So for women with polycystic ovarian syndrome, it's really recommended to have mint tea, peppermint tea too. And lowering adrenals, helping with adrenal fatigue, really great for digestion. I like to make a drink called sassy water. So I'll take filtered water, I'll put in there cucumber from my garden, mint, basil, cilantro, parsley, and lemon. It's so good.
It's some of those things in Slim and Sassy, actually. It's funny you call it sassy water.
Wow.
So mint, so if you are in your menopausal years, mint will help you with hot flashes as well, in addition to everything that Carly said. So it gives you mental acuity, energy, like she said, digestion. It's amazing. I love mint. And I love that you're growing it and you're just plucking it and putting it into your water, because really that's a fantastic way to get the party started, right?
Totally. And so for those who don't know, like my community is on, I do a little bit of blogging on social media, Instagram particularly. My username is Carly Rose Bergman. And I have started this thing within my community for each day, one wild forage or freshly harvested thing a day. And now people from all over the world are harvesting, going foraging. They're like, oh, this is my wild forage food for the day. This is my harvested food from the day from my garden. And how important this is. How often are people eating things at the peak of ripeness? Because we're so used to going to the grocery store, picking up the oranges, picking up the mint, even if it's organic. That's great. That's amazing. But when are you getting it at the peak of ripeness? Because these things aren't being harvested at the peak of ripeness. They're being harvested weeks before, and they're not actually getting all the nutrients from.
Or sometimes months, Carly.
Totally.
Sometimes months.
Totally.
So I buy now at the farmer's market, and the difference in my fruit and vegetables is night and day. Yeah, I mean, so if you can't grow it yourself, which I think is optimal, chuck the grass and, plant a garden, right? We actually have to go to commercial. So I'm going to do a couple commercials real quick, and then we're going to come back, and I want to talk about the basil that you're growing.
Perfect.
And cilantro, because it's so powerful.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials. I started Suson Essentials in 2015 because of a personal health journey. I was over-medicated and put on 19 different medications. And yes, I reversed all my chronic diseases using plant and energy-based healing. It was amazing. At Suson Essentials, we support both consumers and businesses, and we do that with helping your employees or yourself with a food as medicine mindset. How Suson Essentials supports businesses and consumers is we teach people about a food as medicine mindset. So we support people on how to support their own immune system, how to support their brain health, how to support their emotional well-being. And we do that all with plant and an energy-based healing.
Okay, we are back. We got another commercial, but not video, just audio.
Is Monday morning a struggle to get out of bed into the swing of things? Well, don't worry, you are not alone. Join us for thought-provoking, stimulating, and mindful conversations on higher learning with Zelda Speaks for your Monday morning mindfulness session on Blog Talk Radio, The Female Solution, Mondays, 7:30 until 9 a.m. Be sure and send your ideas, thoughts, comments, and suggestions. Also, if you'd like to be a guest on the show, visit ZeldaSpeaks.com and send us your info. We'd love to have you. Experience mindfulness moments with the mindfulness/stress relief coach, Zelda Speaks. And thanks for sharing the mindfulness moment tip of the day. Stay on purpose, stay empowered, and stay tuned to your next session of mindfulness on higher learning with Zelda Speaks. Make it a mindful day. And thanks for listening.
So if you are listening, you can call in to speak to Carly Rose. The number to call into is area code 515-605-9325. And you can call in and ask questions, your burning questions that you have, because they should be burning questions. I mean, because most people don't understand the power of everything sitting right outside our door. Talk about basil.
Right. So
Talk about basil.
So I love basil. This isn't holy basil. This is just sweet basil. Holy basil is actually my favorite adaptogenic.
Mine too.
Amazing tea. I'm sure I think you have essential oils for that, right?
Yeah, I actually even give the basil, holy basil, to my birds, Fagula and Sweetness. And then I also put it in a diffuser in their room because birds have more anxiety than most animals on the planet.
Didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, how does that smell?
It smells amazing. I mean, I can honestly feel like certain receptors go off in your brain. It releases so much endorphins in your brain. And that's similar. We're so used to smelling all of these fake fragrances, right? We go into a store. I was biking in the forest the other day and I'm smelling all of the trees, and I bike past someone and then I just get a whole cloud of their cologne, and I'm like, I'm like, this is so bad. And, and it does something to the pheromones in our body and receptors in our brain. It actually deters them. And I was reading a study, interestingly enough, the other day where these components in the fragrances, not only are they so harmful, like carcinogenic, they mess with the endorphins and pheromones of our body, but it can prevent you from getting a compatible partner because
Totally.
Hey, we were able to really know if we resonated with someone based on the pheromones in our body because it has a sense of attraction. So I've noticed for me, I'm actually attracted to when men do not wear fragrance and cologne because it actually gives me like their actual smell as a human versus all of this fake shit that's in the store. And I know you resonate. I'm sure a lot of people listen.
Oh, I resonate all day long. The funny thing is that I used to be one of those spritzer girls, right? And and I'm grateful, right? Because it taught me what not to do. So I was in Iowa and Nebraska this last week, and I think it was Nebraska where we ended up going to Dillard's, and you walk by and the fragrance counter, it's overwhelming. And it just has a different energy about the fragrance, right? And going back to your comment about you don't want to be wearing it because you want to attract your true mate, right? If you're attracted to something, they're masking who they are with that fragrance.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And people might be listening to this. I don't think your listeners, but a average person would listen to it and be like, that's far-fetched. That's not. I mean, that's really the metaphor for everything in society, right? Covering who you are with all of these fake materialistic things. And then so when you brush back all of that, who are you? And that's what a conversation you and I have all the time, the authentic self, who you are with nothing.
Right.
And again, I know fragrance might seem like something, whatever, but it actually is. It is a huge deal. And when we go into those stores now, even air fresheners, we know how toxic air fresheners are. And that's why Jodi will diffuse essential oils and have them go throughout her house rather than a Febreze plug-in, because those are so damaging to our
They cause cancer. So when I go to the store, I think I was I probably shouldn't mention which store it was, but I went to the store and it was like last summer, and I'm pulling out the plugins that are in the dressing rooms.
Good. I love that.
Or if we go to a restaurant. I mean, we went to this organic restaurant in Barrington, Illinois, and then they pull out the Lysol right where we're eating. And I'm like, you just kind of killed my meal, right? Because now I'm inhaling all these toxins. We had to leave. It was bad.
Yeah. So, it's there's a lack of consistency, and that's all we're about. I mean, educating consistency, and these people don't know better because we're engraved. These ideas are engraved in our minds, and we're conditioned at such a young age. So it's like you had your wake up, right? You had your awakening, and you got off all those 19 medications. You switched drastically to the other side of the spectrum. That's what we see, a shift in the collective right now happening. We see a lot of people waking up all of a sudden like, whoa, something deeper is going on. We've been conditioned our entire lives to think all this stuff is normal, but it's actually killing us, and it's not normal. And it's really cool to watch all these people wake up. And I'm really grateful that I got to experience this so young. And, but I put the energy into this lifestyle, this living off grid, sustainable, as zero waste as possible in this society lifestyle. And for example, so this is sage, and I harvested a bunch last night. It's so funny because I'll decorate with it. I'll put it in my hats. I'll put it in edible bouquets. I will put it in my tea. I'll just use it to smell it and burn it. I'll make bundles. But what I did last night was I harvested a bunch of sage and lavender, and I took off my bed sheets and I sprinkled it all on my bed, and then I put on a new bed sheet, and then I went to bed just laying in sage and lavender, and it was
I mean, it's amazing. So lavender helps people sleep, right? And sage is clearing. So that's a sage right there, right?
This lavender right here, and then this is sage.
But that's purple.
I know, the sage is purple. It has purple on the top.
Okay, I thought it was reversed.
Okay.
Yeah,
purple is missing of this lavender, but yeah, no, this is sage. My plant is red over there. Only the top really has purple on it, but
I did not know that. See, I'm always learning. Learning. Like, oh, I think she's got that reversed. Oh, Jodi, you do. So sage can help clear the energy, negative energy in any space, in your home, your car, your workplace. Just spritz it or bring the plant. People use it, they burn the plant, all sorts of things, although I'm not an advocate of burning it. So I'd rather see it, used as an oil or something and mystics. I don't like having smoke. It's not good for our lungs. So,
Good morning.
Ooh, someone out here. Good morning. Grand Rising.
Yes, yeah. I had my mic on mute because I have hear my background sounds. But this is Naima Latif. I'm really excited about this show. I am really into discovering natural plants. I spent all last year just learning about a lot of the things that grow naturally all over the city. I live in Chicago, and I've been developing some natural teas from the burdock and the dandelion and the clover that grow on my own property, and I see it growing in so many other places around the city. I got a question regarding how do you find out, and I don't know if you test soil or whatever, but when you see plants growing in various places wild, how do you test to make sure the soil that they're growing in is safe for you to eat? Or is there a way you prepare the plants first just to get rid of any possible toxins?
Right. That's such a great question. So Jodi, did you want to play that video that we recorded?
I do. I was actually going to play the one on burdock root, but I think you're right. We should do the one on the apple.
Yeah.
So, so Naima is our executive producer, by the way.
Hi, Naima.
And meet Carly. Naima.
Hi, Carly.
Hi. I'm so happy to hear that you're making and developing teas. That's so awesome. And I was walking in Chicago a few weeks ago downtown, and I saw elderberry. I saw sunflower. I climbed up a mulberry tree right downtown, and I was eating the mulberries, and I was with my friend. He's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Free food." But a lot of it is sprayed, granted. So that's why I climbed up high on the mulberry tree to make sure I wasn't getting any of the low bearing fruit, because that is, it is something to look into with all the pesticides and stuff. And I'll talk more about that after the video, because we talk a bit about it in here.
Okay, here we go.
Hey, this is Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials, and it is getting steamy out here. And we're still at Bussy Woods, and we're going to look at this apple tree. And this is something you would think you could eat the apple, but now I'm going to show you, and so is Carly, and so is Matt. Say hello. Hello. Okay, so talk about this tree. I'm going to back up.
A paradise apple tree, and Jodi.
Yeah, we're all working with different names. We're hot, we're tired. Yeah. I'll answer to anything.
And we're not supposed to eat it because it's highly toxic, meaning that it's probably sprayed with pesticides, Monsanto, glyphosate. But if it wasn't tested, this is a great edible fruit. It's edible now, but it's ripening in the fall. So you can make desserts with it, apple pie, Matt makes apple pie with it.
Yay. So I'm going to ask you guys to speak up because we've got the traffic in the back. But Matt, talk about, look at all these apples that are on the ground. I'm just going to scan the ground here for a minute.
I was thinking, so this is actually a prime food source for deer. So deer kind of eat for the season. So right now in summer, they're trying to get as many nutrients as they can, but they're kind of finicky eaters. But one of their favorite things to eat is sweet fruits. So blackberries, blueberries, mulberries, and apples are like one of their all-time favorite fruits. So it's actually funny to see that the tree's shedding its apples, and there's a tree line right there that you should have, at least your sign of them coming out. But no, you have apples rotten and stuff. You don't have any corns left. So I wonder if the deer know that this is actually a sprayed food source too, because they know what to avoid.
Well, so spot on, and I'll turn the camera around. So let me okay, so here I'm back. So here's the thing. Most people know, who at least watch my show, that I can muscle test. I'm an energy worker, and I can tell you whether or not something's toxic. But let's just say I can't tell if something's toxic because let's say it's you and you don't have that skill set. If you see a bunch of apples, look at this, everybody. If you have a bunch of apples down on the floor and nobody else is eating them, that's an indication that you shouldn't be eating them either, right? So if the animals know better, and they know not to eat this stuff, why don't we? Are we not using our other senses? What do you guys think? Do you think we're using our other senses?
I think we don't know how to use our other senses all the time.
Yeah.
I can't sniff them. Maybe I could like
lick them.
Yeah, but you can feel the energy. So maybe for people when they're going out, you can feel the energy. You can feel the goodness. So practice. When you are looking at food, does that food look or feel? Does the energy feel good to you? If the energy doesn't feel good, right? Because everything's got a frequency.
Yes.
That was like, I was telling Matt the other day, I took a course in nature consciousness at the university that I went to, and it was all about practicing going into a space in nature and making sure you feel safe. So for example, even if you're harvesting plants too, getting consent from the plant, the surrounding areas, because how often do we just run and garden and we're not aware of our surroundings. But again, I was in Florida, so I'd be careful of rattlesnakes, crocodiles, bears, alligators, water moccasins, and really tapping into your senses and asking permission from the nature around you. And then when you develop that sense, then you get into the nature, and then you can pick up on things like this more easily, understand what's safe for you, what's not. So it really is a whole contemplative experience. It's not just going and foraging and picking random things. Like, you actually have to ask consent, be aware of your surroundings, and tap into that field.
So thank you for sharing that. That is so amazing. Hey, anything you want to add to that, Matt?
I'm actually learning right now. Like, I don't have a lot of experience with harvesting plants, just usually animals, but I was thinking, like, should I ask their consent first?
Well, yeah, before you eat them, or at least before, I mean, yeah. And I don't know how that part works. I mean,
well, usually the thing I do is if you do harvest an animal, you thank the animal.
Thank you, right? Go ahead, complete your thought. Sorry.
But I mean, that's a whole part of harvesting deer. I mean, we hunt deer, we hunt waterfowl too. But that's what my dad always taught me. You thank that animal because that animal's giving its life for you. And also another part of that is to make sure that you're trying to you train and everything to hunt so that you can give that animal the most humane death possible. You don't want that animal to suffer. You want to hit it in the back leg so it runs away and stuff like that. But a really big part of that is thanking the animal afterwards.
Well, and you bring up a really good point about thanking the animal, humane, making it a humane way for people or for the animal to lose its life for us, for our consumption. And we'll just put the camera on you guys. Excuse me. I grew up Jewish, and when I studied the religion, there's kashrut, which is a way of eating, and how you slaughter an animal and the way that the blood comes out is very specific. Yeah. So if anybody ever wants to look that up, go for it. But anyway,
I also want to add one more thing, small thing. Also, so when I was in university, I would do internships with edible landscapers, and we would seed cycle and harvest with the new moon and the full moon. So not only do you have consent, for all these plants, and you're aware and being in, also using like the natural intelligence of the planet, the way the water, the tides are energetically, and then you plant with new moons, harvest full moons, vice versa. It really just depends on the plant and the species, but that's a whole nother thing to tap into.
I use a moon cycle when I hunt. I only go out on certain days because deer are going to be more active in the minor when the moon is actually above you during the day. It can usually predict when deer are going to hit food plots during the day. So that's totally right. Like, the moon actually plays a huge part in nature. Everybody listens to it except for us, it looks like.
Well, how many women go to the hospital on a full moon?
A ton, actually. That's a saying we have.
Birds on the full moon.
That's what I'm talking about.
I work on an ambulance. When we have a really busy day, we actually say it must be a full moon. That's like a whole saying.
Mm-hmm.
You actually get it.
Yeah, right? Well, now I do.
Yeah. All right. We are going to sign off and share more later. Thank you, everybody. Like and if you want to like this video, subscribe to my YouTube channel. Like and subscribe.
Okay, so Naima, is Naima still there? Not sure if Naima. So I don't know if Naima. I don't know if Naima's still there.
Yeah, I'm still there. I had to mute my mic because I had to go to Facebook so I could see the video, and I didn't want you to hear the echo.
Oh, thank you. Actually, and I had that same issue. YouTube started playing my current show, so I'm like, I gotta get out of there. So it was always a technological, just to be aware. So does that answer? I mean, so basically, you have to look at your surroundings. You have to. What are the animals eating, and what are they? Do you notice that all those dandelions that grow, but then you have, your neighbors are spraying, let's say, a pesticide, and so the animals aren't eating the dandelions. So think about those things, because if your neighbor is spraying, the wind will blow. It will be on your land, and so you have to think about. Or you have to ask your neighbors, hey, could you consider letting them grow? Could we take on not killing off one of the most powerful plants on the planet, right? Let them survive. Because if we let the dandelion survive, guess what? We get to survive. What do you think about that, Naima?
So, well, I think that we have to do more education.
Oh, you're cutting out.
That actually are. Let me make sure I have my volume up. Okay, sure. Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
So I think it's important that if we're going to be teaching anything in terms of science in schools, we need to be teaching plants that actually add to our lives, that are growing wild, and the mind of the earth is very wise. Mother Earth gives us what we need for our lives, and we need to be teaching young people how to recognize these plants and respect the things that are assisting us in our respiratory health, in our bodily health, things that can be picked and prepared, and really raise the awareness about taking care of the earth and all of the plants that are helping us to breathe better, especially now that everybody's worried about their breath and their respiratory system and viruses and everything. So why not take this opportunity to teach better respect for the life that is helping us sustain our lives? And I would love to see us get rid of pesticides. I think if we learn better how to grow even the food that we're eating, and learn what plants can actually deter, and we can do that in a natural way. These are the kinds of things we should be teaching, so that, because anything ending in "side" means killing. So if you're spraying pesticides on something, not only are you killing things that you consider pests, you're also slowly killing anybody else who eats the food. So I think it's time for us to develop a more holistic way of respecting all life and realizing all life is intertwined. You can't kill anything without killing everything at some point.
Well, I couldn't agree more. And I'm looking right now. So if anybody sees me looking to the other side, this is why. I'm looking for a video that I did in 2018. So what I'm not going to look for it anymore. I'll just talk about it. So I'm living in Palatine, Illinois. I walk to the farmer's market. And on my way back from the farmer's market, I see these dandelions. And so I said, isn't it interesting
that dandelions, many people say, and there's studies on it, which is why they have dandelion tinctures and all that, but we know it detoxifies the liver and, helps with, killing cancer cells, right? And yet the pesticide that they use to kill the dandelions cause cancer. What's the irony in that?
And you know what? As I was doing research, the uses of dandelion, and I'm thinking about plants that we killed because we want a nice lawn. I'm just amazed that we're allowing this wrong thought to continue, that dandelions are a pest that should be killed, when in fact these are plants that are here for our preservation and for our health and well-being. So I guess my question is, how do we change that thought? How do we change so that
how do we change
people
that
can
thought?
be more aware of the plants that they've looked at as enemies are actually our friends?
Right. So one moment at a time, right? One day at a time. And then actually, I had forgotten to make this announcement, but I'm going to do it now. And Naeem, I think I may have sent you an email about it or a text message. First of all, we have to shift our mindset. We have to educate people. We have to give them grace when they don't understand, right? Stop the judgment, hashtag no judgment. And the other thing is that I am conducting a healing circle, and that's on September 9th at 11:11 a.m. It's a Thursday. And the purpose of the healing circle is to help us release energies that no longer serve us. And quite frankly, that mindset is also an energy. So it should open up. The purpose is to open up our hearts and open up our minds to see things that are right in front of us that we haven't looked at in a way that will help us heal. So I can do the energy healing, and all the other healers. I think we've invited almost 30 different healers. And they're going to be on StreamYard, and they're going to be on Podbean, and hopefully Blog Talk, if we can bring that in. I know that might be a constraint, and we're going to help people with the energy, removing these energies that don't serve them, which then will open their eyes. So that's the purpose. We want to open up their eyes and open up their hearts to see the goodness that's right in front of them, so that they start to inquire.
Yeah, that is something that's so necessary. We have to change. And
Naima, I something to that. So my mom is a preschool teacher, and her preschoolers are the best. She is such a great teacher. She teaches her kids how to compost. If they have a spider in the classroom, they all go to the spider, and my mom picks it up, and they all bring it outside together. She has a little fish in the room with a fake fish in there, and they named the fish Rainbow. And whenever one of the kids litters, she goes and picks it up and puts it in Rainbow's tank. And she's like, boys and girls, look, Rainbow is suffocating with plastic. Someone didn't throw out their trash. And then, these kids are like, oh my gosh, no, like Rainbow. So then they're very conscientious of not throwing around, throwing things away. The kids go home and they tell their mom and dads, hi, Mom and Dad, Mrs. Bergman said that, we can't really bring plastic Ziploc baggies to school anymore, plastic, and then we have to get reusables. So then all the kids come in with reusables the next week, and she'll get emails from the parents like, hi, Mrs. Bergman, just want you to know that Jared said that we can't kill spiders in our house anymore. So we're not killing spiders in our house, and we're switching all to reusables. So I really do think it starts with the school system young, because when I was in school, I didn't learn rainwater, like in elementary school, I didn't learn about rainwater catchment or gardening. I had to do all of this by myself. And this is like primal inherent knowledge that we should have. This is also instinctual. So basically, It's just really interesting how, there's a huge shift happening in the world right now. For anyone that doesn't notice, it's here and it's happening. And people are going to homestead living, homeschool. Moms are coming together and they're teaching their kids. Where I live in Hawaii, there's a bunch of moms coming together that they didn't like what was happening in the school system, and they their kids out. The moms built a school. They literally got together with the whole community. The moms and kids built together. They started like a project, and then they would all go in their gardens because everyone has huge food forests, and they would just harvest a bunch of food from their land, make a meal, bring it to all the moms that were building this school. And now they're hiring all teachers that maybe got fired from the school system this past year for many different reasons. And now they're hiring these teachers to teach at like a homeschool. So it's really just creating a new society, a new way of living. But it's not new, right? We're just returning, actually. We're just going back to the basics. And the kids in Hawaii, I mean, I met a kid, Leo. His name's Leo, and he is 8 or 9. He doesn't watch TV. He has only watched TV on an airplane while traveling. The smartest kid I've ever met in my entire life. He was teaching me, like, he was just doing woodwork. And he's like 8 years old, and he knows how to do everything. Then you go out here, or you're on the mainland, and you just see kids just stuck glued to their iPad. They can use an iPad, no problem. They don't know how to give eye contact, though. So it's just,
right.
Yeah, it's really just as hard as these past few years have been. As much as we've seen a bunch of evil thrive, like obviously closing small businesses, corporations being extremely successful, it is creating a huge divide, and people are waking up to what's going on. Communities are forming in Hawaii, in Asheville, and California, and Arizona, and people are coming together and saying, if we don't like the culture we're in, you have to change it, because it's not going to change. The same people that own the gas station, own the bank, own Amazon, own money, own everything. So you really have to create a new system within this culture.
Naima?
That is so encouraging.
Like, I'm going to let you
hear.
pipe in because I know you have things to say. So
Yes, yeah, that is so encouraging to hear, knowing that people are coming together, families are coming together. They're using this opportunity to create their own education system. That's really what we should be doing. This is an opportunity for us to teach the things that our children need to know. And that's where it starts. I mean, if we can educate parents and kindergarten teachers, then we'll see a whole new revolution, because the young people growing up will think differently. Sometimes you can't change the older people, and sometimes they're influenced by their children. So if we can get to the children through parents and kindergarten and first grade teachers, the people who are influencing young minds before they get contaminated, that would be the most powerful thing. So I'm excited. I'm looking forward to being able to really expand my knowledge on all the natural things that are right here for us. I think the more shows, and I'm just so grateful, Jodi, that you're doing this show. We need to share this everywhere on all the social media platforms and everything, because this is like a classroom for a lot of people who just never thought about it. They just really were never made aware of how the ecosystem works and how we have already everything we need to sustain our lives. We just need to recognize what it looks like as it's coming out of the ground. And I like the video that you did that kind of shows you, okay, if other animals don't touch something and it's food, that means there's something wrong with it. It's probably contaminated. Don't touch it. Until we can, like you say, develop the sixth sense to know when something isn't.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So, and let's talk about this. We're going to be doing this healing circle, and this addresses what you're asking, Naima. So on September 9th at 11 a.m., you want to hop on early, at least by 11 o'clock. That's when we'll all get on. And it won't last long. It'll be 30 minutes in totality, starting from 11 a.m. And we're going to clear energy, which then will awaken your senses. And I will get on and do a show after that and teach people how to use their body as a pendulum to connect with God and ask questions. How I muscle test my food is I if I'm in a store even, I get out my computer or my phone, I open up the compass and I figure out which way is north. Now, some people have a better sense of direction than me and don't need to do that, Carly Rose Bergman. So,
That's one of my strong suits.
What?
Yes.
Yeah, I just can't do that. So anyway, well, if I don't have my phone, I'll get a little compass. But anyway, you face north, and I teach you how to use your body as a pendulum and figure out what your yes is as a pendulum and what your body's no is. And then you can start asking questions. You bring in your spirit guides to make sure that you're asking the questions of the right people, for the right souls, the right spirits. And you find out, is this for my highest good? Is this food clean? Is this food have toxins in it? Yes or no? And when you start asking these questions, you'll feel the energy in the food, and you'll also get the answer. And you'll start to recognize fast what's a yes and what's a no. And for those people who are listening, if you walk into a party in a room and the energy's off, it doesn't feel good.
You feel it instantly. Yes.
So that's the same energy you're going to feel in your food if it's not good for you. Let's just put it that simple. If something doesn't appeal to you, don't eat it. There's a reason God's talking to you.
Yeah. That system kind of sounds a little bit like body talk, which a friend of mine is involved in, which you learn to listen to your body as I guess an instrument that reflects your higher senses. And when you, like you say, you learn a yes and a no. And when your body is telling you something, you learn how to listen to it, because it is tuned into the divine intelligence, and we all are, but it's something that we have to learn, that we lost the knowledge of.
Well, so I'm looking it up right now, and it says body talk, and this is actually pretty spot on for what I do. Body talk is a holistic approach to healing based on proven principles of energy medicine. The body is a complex ecosystem with a delicate balance between physiological, biochemical functions, emotional and mental interactions, environmental influences, and hereditary and genetic restrictions. Spot on. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, it works. Yes.
So Carly, you want to add anything to that?
Do you mind if we play the yarrow video? Because I think I can connect. I have something important to connect with yarrow.
The yarrow?
Not the yarrow, the Queen Anne's lace.
Yeah, love to.
Naima, you're going to love this.
Okay, so thank you. So Naima, you want to hop on YouTube or Facebook?
Yeah. I'll go to YouTube. I'll mute so you don't hear the echo.
All right, and then we'll be patient when you come back.
I'm just over here smelling all my plants.
All right. Okay, hold on. And here we go. So this is
Hey, it's Jodi Suson with Suson Essentials. Please ignore the background noise, but we're still at Bussy Woods, and we're going to be talking about Queen Anne's lace. And here is Carly. Hi, Carly.
Aloha. Okay, so this is Queen Anne's lace. You know, it's also known as wild carrot, but you know it's Queen Anne's lace because there's a little red dot in the middle, right?
I don't even see it. Can you show me where it's at?
Yeah, where's your camera? Right there. You see my finger.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And so Queen Anne's lace
Wow.
You can actually, people will like fry the flowers as fritters, and then the stems you can actually use in soups and salads. So Queen Anne's lace, they say that this practice started in India. It's actually a natural contraception. So basically, if you have unprotected sex, it is said to have Queen Anne's lace for 7 days. You can make a tincture out of it, but have it 7 days after, every single day after you have unprotected sex. What that does is prevent the fertilized egg from going into the uterus and attaching.
Wow.
So yeah, super interesting. I actually have a lot of friends that use this as natural contraception. Also, they'll use papaya seeds as a natural contraception. So it's really interesting to learn about plants that have been used as contraception forever, but you can't really make money off of this. So, and you have to be particular. And again, learning about your moon cycle, when you're ovulating, etc. It's very important for us to know our cycles in our body, but it's one more thing to incorporate in the natural way.
Hey, so Carly, that's awesome information. Thank you for sharing. And then, what's he doing back there? You gonna walk back there?
A wild Maddie, and he is harvesting.
Let's walk over there. You want to walk over?
Me?
Yeah, I'll walk over with you. Okay, so what do you got here, Maddie?
These are wild blackberries.
Oh,
So these,
oh wow.
a whole bush full of them. So these red ones are the ones that aren't yet ripe.
Okay.
And these are the ones that are ripe. They look just like at the store. Taste even better.
Thank you.
But yeah, this is just another fruit that's coming into season at this time of year. The spider web.
Yeah,
But,
I got stuck in the spider web too.
It's-
Wow. Total spider web. So bring your anti-spider web.
So I'm just pausing this for a second. I sense that there was a spider spinning the web around us when we came in, like we were their prey.
Oh.
It was kind of crazy.
They go all the way back. There's a whole line of them going back there.
So I just want to say this. These have also been sprayed. So you just have to be careful, about what you eat out here. So, all right, cool things. Anything else you want to add about the berries?
I think you got it. Usually there's wild red raspberries here too, and you can make the red raspberry leaves into tea.
Nice. So I actually have red raspberry leaf at home, which I do make tea out of that.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
Okay. Stop screen share. And we are back.
Amazing. So yeah, I just think that's another really important thing. I learned, I can't remember where I learned that. I think I was in an herbalism class and they were talking about Plan B, that pharmaceutical, how obviously it prevents pregnancy, unwanted pregnancy. However, it does have a high damaging effect on the body. So there are things, again, for most, what I've noticed is that for most pills, there is a plant alternative. And as you know, I mean, there really is. And I had heard an herbalist talk one time, and she was like, well, you can't patent a plant, right? Like you can't go patent mint, but you can patent a pill that acts like mint. So
that's right.
Properties, right? So super interesting. Really diving into all these different plants and their purposes. And living in Hawaii, I mean, I've learned about so many exotic fruits like ice cream bean, peanut butter fruit, djibouti kava, soursaps, durian, mangosteen. And it's funny that there's so many candies and flavorings, fake flavorings and fragrances.
Oh, what about the fake colors?
Fake colors too, yeah.
I mean, all those dyes. And we have 2 callers coming in, so we're going to take the call soon. It's 312-671 and 312-849. So, but all those fake colors actually cause things like hypertension, cancer, linked to arthritis. And so if you want health, it's actually right in front of you. Right there. So let's take our first caller, or second caller. It's 312-671. Let's see if we can. There we go.
Yes.
Hi.
Yes, we are in young. Yes, this is Minister Plump, Robert Floyd Plump. And how are you today,
Good.
beloved?
How are you?
Oh, well, that's good. I am interested in my health because my health is my wealth. And I'm checking I'm searching information, you know, and I heard the last thing that you said is like pills versus plants, you know. So I'm interested because I have glaucoma in my eyes. I'm not claiming that. However, that's an evaluation from the VA, which is the Veterans Administration, and also high blood pressure and prostate cancer from their examination. However, I would hope and consider and hope and pray that you all can be a part of my solution and use me as an example for healing, because healing to me is a 23 in reality, and that's a need. We all need better health, and I'm more concerned about the holistic health, and especially Sister Naima, Latif. Are you still there, Sister Naima? Is she there on the air?
I'm not sure. I know she muted herself for a minute, so she'll be on a delay. Naima, you can come back in if you're here, hon.
Because
so
I know that our
this.
health is our wealth, you know,
so,
and really, I'm into my health now as a major, and I would like to know is the dandelion.
Okay.
Yes.
Naima's here.
And well, yeah, sister, assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam. Peace be upon you, my brother, and I'm so glad that you're asking for help, because the knowledge of what you need is available, and that's I'm so grateful that we're able to help people with some natural ways of things that's right there in front of them that can help their bodies. So the healing you're seeking is here.
So what I'm going to say,
let me say this, because they got me scheduled right now, and I qualified, but I'm not really sold on the idea of operation. They're talking about taking out my prostate. Supposed to be operation concerning my prostate. And I'm not really with that. I do believe that there got to be a natural way, a holistic way, a plant life that can solve my problem. And that's what I really want and need, and asking for you all to help me to do more research.
Well,
they got me scheduled for the 13th. It's supposed to be an operation to take out my prostate. And I'm stalling for more time. I'm not really sold on that. And I don't believe that that's the best remedy according to my health.
Right. So let me just pipe in here. So first of all, what all people can do when they're faced with health challenges is look first at what can you remove from your food supply and your water supply. And when I talk about that, I say I'm talking about toxins. So I'm not giving you medical advice. I'm just going to put that out there first. But I am going to tell you that the very first thing that all people can do when they're faced with health challenges is look at what's toxic in your food supply and get rid of that, right? So and take a look at what's in your water supply. So if you go to my website, which is www.SusonEssentials, there's a checklist for everybody to get started.
Okay, can you take that a little slower for your website?
If you know Naima, she'll give it to you, but it's www. It's my last name, Suson.
Okay. How do you spell that?
SUSON, essentials.com. But there's a checklist. And if you have, what you said, prostate cancer, your LED lights, your light bulbs are contributing to that. Your light bulbs.
Okay.
So halogen is the way to go. These are basic things. Actually, I'll put it on the screen. Are you looking? Do you have access to a computer where you can look at what we're
No, I don't at the moment. However, I'm.
Minister Plump, I did just text you the website, so you can just hit the link right on your phone, and it'll be able to
Yeah,
pull it
that's
up.
all. Thank you, Naima. But I'm just going to pull this up real quick so that y'all can see.
Can I give her my number so also we can?
Well, Naima can get that for me. You don't want to share your number on the air.
Yeah, she can see you on the switchboard, so she's got your number right there.
Yes.
Okay, well, that's good. I appreciate you all. Because at this point in my life, I need all the help I can get, and it's all about living. And my health is my wealth, and being happy, healthy, wealthy, and being wise. So, I love the language that you all are using, and that is to educate, yourself and self-help. So, we are in the same book, maybe on different pages, and I don't know, I haven't gotten to all of the information on the different pages in the book, but I think you all to help me solve my personal health issues and problems. And that's what I'm reaching out, and I really need. And I appreciate you all for the program. And I believe everyone needs that, and thank God for the female solution.
So Naima, I just sent you a text message for this man, so that the text message has a link to the site, and there's a checklist, and it's displayed on the show right now. And in this checklist, it talks about the easy things that you can do. Filter your tap water.
Yes, ma'am.
It's $189. Filter your shower water, $90. Replace your light bulbs. Use halogen, avoid fluorescent and LED. Neutralize electromagnetic frequencies in your home and car.
Someone told me that alkaline water, as well as changing my diet, would be a big help to me.
Yes, and do not be fooled.
About that.
So do not be fooled. So people try to sell you expensive systems for alkaline. It's like $2,500. When you remove the toxicity from the water, it actually pushes it into an alkaline state, takes it from acidic to alkaline, just by taking out the toxins. And that's like $189. So don't be fooled by high price tags.
$189.
That's what I'm trying to tell you.
Well, that's very reasonable.
I know.
I can manage that.
I was disabled when I got mine. So, yeah. So, but we do have another caller. So, any other quick questions you have, or? And I've got your number here to, reach out later.
Yes, correspond with me. I appreciate you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
And God bless you.
All right. So we are going to put that one. And then we have another caller, 312-849.
Yeah, that was me.
Oh, shoot. Yeah, there you go.
Yeah, because I had to get off of, I had to get off the Podbean, so I wouldn't be getting feedback once I opened up Facebook and then came back on. Plus I'm in motion
no
now,
worries,
so
no worries.
I didn't want to lose my connection, so now I'm on.
So Fagla is on the show. She wants her own Instagram channel. That's what she just said. So I'm going to honor her with that.
Give it to her.
Mm-hmm.
Give it to her.
Yeah.
She has an opportunity to teach the human family. Give her a platform to speak.
Well, she does. Her messages, typically start with heart. And anything else you want to say today? She says, "I love you, Carly."
I love her. I miss her.
Yeah, I was having withdrawals.
when you were taking care of her and I was out of town. So.
Oh my gosh. There's something that we talked about, Liz, since we're talking about the cultural shift, right, with the school system. I want to talk about this this internship I did when I was in college. It was with an edible farmer, like I mentioned previously. And I was talking in that video how we would harvest with the moon cycles and even seed cycling with my own body while doing that internship was when I first started seed cycling with the moon, which basically is like nourishing different progesterone and testosterone phases within the female menstrual cycle, which is really cool. And anywho, so in that internship, I hosted a zero waste plant-based wedding from the garden. And it was like a little mock wedding. We had a photo shoot. We had a bride and a groom, like groomsmen and bridesmaids. It was really, really special. And so all the edible bouquets came from the garden. I should have pulled up pictures to share. I'll have to send them to you. Meals from the garden. We made like a Thai curry from the curry and coconut and basil and corn and stuff we were growing from the garden. Everything was thrifted or borrowed. So at the end of the day, we only spent about, I would say, like $75 on the entire mock wedding. It took place in like this golf course in this garden that was just really gorgeous. There was like a wild rose garden. We had a bunch of heirloom vegetables. I had a flower crown that was made of all the flowers from the garden. And it was so special. And so basically, I've seen zero waste weddings all over the world happen, and it's really special to see all these events take place, and there's not a lot of waste created. Everything is intentional. The gifts are intentional, and every detail, even down to like the gifts that they give out to people at the end, are like heirloom seeds that they can grow on their windowsill, right? Instead of bubbles. So
Right.
Really,
so, last week when I was traveling, I met some really amazing women, and through a like-minded networking event, and they saw all these necklaces that I'm wearing, and they thought it was comical that I said that I don't really like jewelry, and they go, really? You're wearing so much of it. And I said, but it beats rocks in the bra. Because I used to wear a bra, which I don't wear bras anymore because they just, in my opinion, lead to cancer because they're cutting off your circulation to your lymphatics. And yeah, right. So Carly, you get that. And so I stopped wearing a bra. So I had to find another way to wear the stones that protect my energy. Okay, can you be a little quiet? Thank you. We love you. So she's so funny. So the stones, I wear all the jewelry with intention, right? So going back to the wedding, giving out seeds or whatever, I said, if I'm doing something that seems off, no, it's with intention. There's nothing I do that's not intentional at this point in my life.
Yeah, for sure.
And I love that you brought that up. So where else are you bringing that into, Carly?
So that is a great point. I love I've been living a minimalistic lifestyle for probably 4 years. Like basically everything I own can fit in my car. And granted, I'm kind of a nomad, so I bebop all over. The last time I had furniture was last year and I sold everything, moved to Hawaii. And I just prefer to not have a lot of stuff. I love having like a backpack and being like, okay, cool. I'm off to the next place. And I always am selling things because it's funny. I literally, when I first got into minimalism, it was after living in a house with black mold, actually. So I had to throw out everything because it's all contaminated. The spores make you so sick. For anyone dealing with black mold, I posted like a protocol on one of my pages on Instagram because it is, I wouldn't wish that on anybody. It's the worst. And
well, you've got 2 people on here, or 3 actually, who all have black mold.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about your protocol because we have a protocol But we hired somebody who does it for, I think they're cheap. It's called Pure Maintenance. They were on the show. They use hydrogen, vinegar, and nitrogen, and they fog the house, and it's done in 3 hours. It gets into the drywall, it gets into your wood furniture, it gets into your clothes, it gets into everything, and it's then leaves a spike, like an energetic spike. So if anything comes into that area, the virus or bacteria or mold gets caught in between the spikes.
Ooh, wow.
Yeah, it's pretty powerful.
With the remaining, because I just left the place I was living because I couldn't do it anymore. I was so sick. I was speaking about a protocol I did for my health, which was this particular CBD that I use, and then black seed oil and oregano, and then all of those together got rid of my brain fog.
Yes, that's what I did too. So I used oregano. I used a specific strain. I used a cherry blossom CBD. And I would add to that, I didn't use the black seed oil, but that's powerful. Clove, the terpene profile on clove is so powerful. I've learned now since then that clove terpenes are more powerful than oregano terpenes.
Interesting. Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah.
That's good to know. Yeah. And those things really just to get the mold out of your system. I know one of my friends, name's Matt, and he lives with molds. And it just, when you live with molds, anything else in your body is going to come up. So then he found out he had Lyme disease and he had all these other things, or Epstein virus, like in his body. So it was like it creates any imbalance that's already in your body. The mold just flips it on and turns it on.
Yeah. So you're so flippin' smart. Yeah. So here's the thing. This is how I describe that. It activates. Black mold will activate. So everyone who's listening, listen up now. You are exposed to black mold. It will activate all the dormant viruses that you have in your body and make them active. Consider that it is the key to the jail cell. So you've got like these prisoners, right? And you open up the jail cell with the key, and they all come out, and they all get to play in your body and do what they want. By the way, that's how I got sick in, it was October 31st. I was living in a place that had black mold. And that's how I got a virus. And I got rid of it in a day and a half because I'm with some amazing energy healers. And they used applied kinesiology, a form of it called AK chronic. And so they reset my immune system in 30 minutes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Too, because everything going on in the world, they're forcing people to stay inside. And think about what's in our homes, where there's toxic paint, there's plastics, harmful fumes, there's people that are breathing in bad things because they're not changing their filters, there's black mold. So like I wonder if that's making people more sick, not only psychologically and obviously creating anxiety and suicide because of lack of socialization, but actually our internal environments with our diet and our food and water, and then our actual living spaces are toxic themselves, and people aren't even aware. So when they're not outside and getting fresh air and grounding and those from the earth, that they're going out to the grocery store, they're more susceptible to getting sick versus living a life in nature and outdoors. That's why it was really interesting when all the nature trails and beaches shut down, but the liquor stores were open. So
yeah, don't even yeah. Well, and here's the other thing.
It's just a huge.
Wait, what's that?
We won't get into all of that stuff, but
no, but it is right. So why are the nature trails closed, but the liquor stores are open?
Right.
Riddle me that. So, but the other thing is, and this may seem silly, but it's not. And I don't know, and I'm going to put you on the spot. Talk to me about your hangers.
My what?
Your clothing hangers.
My clothing hangers?
Yeah.
Oh, thrift them from Goodwill.
Okay, so I always go either with wire or wood. Because I switched all my plastic hangers out. Because
you are, and I did this, I mean, I'm doing this while I was disabled, right? So the thing is, you're breathing in the plastic. So wherever you have a choice in the matter.
Totally. Like our Tupperwares, like using glass Tupperware instead of plastic Tupperware. Even if it's a reusable, you're trying to reuse. Like for me, it's like within the zero waste movement, sustainable movement, people will reuse plastic and reuse it, reuse it. I won't reuse plastic because we know it's leaching. We already know it's leaching. And I think that's such a great point. Like there's so many things in our lives where there's plastic and, plastic hangers too, the pink dye, and that's in your clothes, then the plastic in your clothes. And for me, it's like, this was my mom's. This is from when she was 30, right? So this is really old. But it's really interesting because then you go to a thrift store and you're thrifting all these clothes, but they're full of, nylon and BPA and all this plastic versus just having something that's all organic. So I have a friend and she switched her entire wardrobe to completely organic. And I'm not there because my wardrobe is super minimal and I actually don't want more stuff right now. But definitely, I think that's a great goal to have it all completely.
Well, that's where I've been going too.
Yeah.
My clothing. I'll tell you the story. So we probably need to run a commercial, but well, I'll tell you the story about my pajamas. Let me just run a quick commercial, okay? And
Suson Essentials leads you to wellness by giving you access to more than 20,000 sustainably produced nutritional products delivered direct to your door. With a Place of Peace pop-up from Suson Essentials, you are able to increase productivity, mental acuity, leaving you with higher energy and peace in just 20 minutes. We pop up at our office or yours. Suson Essentials leads you to wellness by giving you access to more than 20,000 sustainably produced nutritional products delivered direct to your door.
Whole global society in the next 50 years. 50 years from now, the earth will be populated by a new generation of adults, many of whom are yet unborn. Our mission is to nurture them in childhood with love, guidance, and protection, and to raise them in healthy, happy families. If we impart values of compassion, generosity, and respect for fellow human beings in the next generation of children, they will create a world where people can live together in peace. This is our goal. Be a part of the transformation. Get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. Go to www.naimalatif.com. That's www.naimalatif.com.
okay, so we're back and we're going to talk about pajamas. So I was disabled and for 3.5 years, and really my whole body was on fire. I had small fiber neuropathy, which is all over body pain. And we knew that because of a biopsy that was done. And so I didn't want people touching me. That would not be very well. And so when I would do my shopping, I would go late at night, and I typically went to Walmart. I would get my organics there, what I could, or I would get what I needed for grad school because I was going to grad school at the time. And I decided to get a pair of pajamas, right? They're cheap. And this is what shifted me. I put them on my body and I broke out in hives because they're putting on flame retardants.
Wow, totally.
And I love Walmart. They have a lot of organics, and they have the senior leadership has done a great job in re-engineering how they support their employees. And they're not finished, but they're certainly on their way. And I've been watching them since 2015 make these changes. So I support them. But they still haven't learned about the flame retardant on pajamas.
What's happening when you go into, I can't even tell you the last time I was in a mall. I think it's been, but when I used to go into malls, I mean, going into each store, smelling how intense it is with the fragrances, but not only that, yeah, the smelling the clothes and people, but it's interesting because people love that new smell, the new car smell, the new clothes smell. And then, but when you become sensitive and in tune, you will notice your body will react to it differently. I was talking to one of my friends yesterday, Mia, and she is having a hard time consuming alcohol now because she's just gotten to a point where she's too sensitive. Her body reacts even if she has a couple sips of it, and she feels like she mentions like her vibration seems to alter, and it really does. So it is, there's so many things, you know, that are going on. I think once you have all this knowledge of what's going on in the world, it's kind of hard to exist because you're like, how did it really get to this point and where do we go from here? But that's why I think what we were talking about with Naima was so important, just reinventing the systems and getting to the children. And a lot of my friends are moms and they're raising their kids so intentionally with integrity and morally consistently, and it's so beautiful to see how awesome these kids are. I know these kids that are they're 12, 11, and 8, and they're homeschooled, and their parents were like, okay, we're gonna live we're gonna go live in our Jeep and travel the country, so we gotta sell the house. So the kids' homeschooling project, their final, was to redo the house. So the kids were learning electric, plumbing, tile, painting. That was their like final project. And these kids, smartest kids I've ever, I mean, they were so intelligent. Talking to them was like talking to an adult. They were so respectful. I've never had so much eye contact from a child. And it was like talking to a friend. It's not like you talk to them like they're kids. You talk to them like they're
adults.
And it was, and it's like, oh, this is how it should be. You know, this is how it should be. And so I think we had to hit the complete opposite of the spectrum is what we see now with the kids with a lot of sensory issues, attention issues from the food and the water, fluoride. Their pineal glands are literally calcified. And I think a lot of people think that that's a woo-woo term with pineal calcification. It's like an actual scientific, literal
thing. All day long. It does calcify your pineal gland. I want to say something else, and I'm going to go get it. Hold on a second, because I want to just so people know what we're talking about.
And for anyone watching, there's a great doctor, Dr. Jodi. He talks about the calcification of the pineal gland and how certain calcify your pineal gland. And there's actually certain meditations and prayers you can do to decalcify.
So Joe Dispenza is amazing. Thank you for mentioning that. So this is for taking your temperature. Okay. See that little light, right? Guys, if you're going in to a doctor's office and they want to put this at your pineal gland, it calcifies it. Let them do your wrist. Okay. I walked into a chiropractor's office last week and they went to go put that at Andrew's, his third eye, his pineal gland. And I ripped it. I'm like, no, like we've worked hard to decalcify that pineal gland.
Can you talk about x-rays a little bit too? Because I had someone interested in learning more about the x-rays and the radiation, because there's, the low radiation x-rays, and particularly my brother who is doing some x-ray things. And I'm sure you've dealt with this because of Andrew's brain condition and needing x-rays, opt out of all x-rays. Because I know we were both talking about how we opt out of x-rays at the airport. We have to go through those big machines.
So actually, here's what I know, and I'm not an expert in this space, but I know that radiation is radiation, right? And I do know that it harms the cells in your body. And, if you want to look, there's a woman who I met who I'm going to introduce you to. Her first name is Molly. She's a naturopath. She actually reclaimed her eyesight in both eyes. she was blind.
Wow.
Yeah. She's one of us. So anyway, she's amazing. But let's just talk about radiation in general. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the YouTube channel, and I think I have enough time to do it. And I'm going to show the world what happens to their blood cells. Okay, when it's exposed to radiation, which is also coming from your phone. Let's just stay with basics, the computer and the phone, and it happens in minutes. Now, this one is from Altera. So let me just,
Love Altera. I loved your video last week with Altera. It was great.
yeah. So he's going to be on our healing circle, and he's sharing the event with, I think, 150,000 people. So, because he has a huge following.
Where is he based out of?
Idaho. So, actually, he's in Washington, and Altera is in Idaho.
Gotcha.
So, give me one sec. Why don't you share while I'm pulling up the video about what your thoughts on radiation, because I can't multitask very, very well.
So, one of my really good friends, Allie, who I was talking about, who's the microgreen farmer, she was actually has radiation poisoning. So she was told that she's unable to have kids by doctors because of her radiation and poisoning.
What's her name?
I'm sorry?
What's her first name again? Allie. Oh,
I've talked to you about her. She's a narcissist.
She can reverse it. I heard. So she can reverse it. She should reach out to me. We can handle what she needs.
She's very clairvoyant, she knows what's going on, and she's amazing. She got radiation poisoning from malpractice from just the VA, was it? Or her ex was in the military, and they just did way too much radiation on her, and it did something to her thyroid, and her thyroid, I believe, is inactive, but she's working to activate it, right? But yeah, just crazy malpractice with those machines.
Yeah, and this is what I mean. Yeah, hold on. So we've got the video up. Look, so these are deformed cells that have been just exposed to your cell phone for a couple minutes. Can you imagine what radiation's doing to you?
Wow.
Radiation like an X-ray and all that.
Yeah.
I don't have a breast exam anymore. The last time I had a mammogram, they also then wanted to do a biopsy. They never really found anything. And I'm like, no, I'll just take my frankincense. I'm okay with that. And it doesn't mean that you have to do it if you're listening, but that's my choice. But these are the deformed cells, and they're clumping after a couple minutes.
Totally.
So then I'll take you healthy cells. Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
It's okay. If I'll even notice if I'm on technology for too long, it obviously hurts my brain, and my fingers and my hands will go numb as well. And that's why it's really important to turn your Wi-Fi off at night.
Yeah, for sure. So here's the thing. There's a company called Fluffy, FLFE, and it's Focus Life Force Energy, and they're out of Canada. And so what they're doing is they can use your phone, type into your phone. Honey, the world needs to hear this. Keep it quiet. Love you. So they can put the frequency on your phone, which is the frequency of shungite, which then neutralizes, and you don't have to have that experience anymore.
Yeah, they have a podcast on the Luke Story podcast. I saw they were featured on there the other day, and that's a really great podcast. So it's called the Lifestylist Podcast. Else wants to go on his podcast and learn more about it. I haven't listened to it yet. I just downloaded it yesterday, and I'm really excited.
And it's called what again? The Lifestyle?
The Lifestylist.
Sorry, hold on. The what?
The Lifestylist Podcast.
Oh, the Lifestylist Podcast. That's perfect. I love the name.
Yeah.
So going back, this is blood protected with an Altera neutralizer. And so if you have a neutralizer or a blocker, I think, on your phone, blocking EMF doesn't work. Neutralizing it does.
Yeah.
And so if you are blocking, think about a football game. You know, these football players are going to come in heavier, right? So if that is helpful, you want to think about not blocking things, but neutralizing them. When I cook shrimp, which can have heavy metals in it, I put in, honey, can you be quiet? I love you. I put in cilantro essential oil and lemon essential oil. So that way, if there's any heavy metals or microplastics, I get rid of them while I cook them.
I think that's really important too, because I was listening to you talk about EMFs in your last episode, and it basically I remember him saying that when you block it, it becomes more powerful, and it just hits it, goes off, and has a more powerful energy rather than realizing it and letting it kind of disperse and integrate. So I mean, that's like a metaphor for life too. So really, really powerful stuff. And yeah, so I mean, EMFs are pretty crazy. And as we know, the towers are going up everywhere. So really, to protect yourself, I found this company the other day called No Choice. And it's actually my cousin's friend, I found out. And he creates EMF shielding like jackets and clothing, which is really cool. I haven't gotten to see if any of it's organic or whatnot, because obviously that's incredibly important. But he wears it to the airport. And so he's opting out of the radiation systems of the airport, the detectors, and then he'll wear like his head to toe. And he has one of those EMF devices, and you can scan where there's EMFs, and he does like whole tests showing everybody how protective they are. And he encourages everyone else to do it themselves too and test it out for themselves. So, you know, there's so much information to learn. We all like just taking baby steps wherever we go, right? Getting off a certain pill, maybe taking care of the smart meter at our house, maybe foraging something at the peak of ripeness, switching a holistic product like soap in our house. It can seem overwhelming, but there really are a bunch of different steps to take in the right direction. And it could be exciting. It's like a game. And it changes everything about life. And then I don't know about you, Jodi, but ever since I switched this lifestyle, I save so much money. Like, people seem to think that organic and living holistically is expensive. I mean, there's there's like nothing. This is my mom's. Like,
Yeah, I mean, I did that when I was on disability. So my income was $1,694 a month. I got my water supply filtered, essential oils, right? When you think about the fact that my mouthwash cost me, I think, 85 cents, because I had a glass bottle, right? I put in 1 to 2 drops of On Guard. 4 makes it 8, actually 4, because it's 85 cents. So, and water. And I don't destroy the planet by using plastic bottles, and I don't destroy my body by putting in some sort of toxic whatever that the other brands make.
Right.
So, and I'm just gonna show you guys real quick this focused life, because this is so important, because I like the idea. First of all, I think everyone has to show up and use the product that they feel is best for them. Okay, no doubt. Personally, I would like to keep it a little bit more simple, like you. And focused life force energy increases your consciousness. Okay. Let me just see if I can. I'm still fixing the website. Helps with holding positive thoughts, new levels of personal growth, deeper connections and better communication, a boost of energy and mental clarity. You get it for 15 days for free. And you can do a boost on the property. And what I do, and it mitigates EMF and all that. But the thing is that when I boost the frequency, I set that frequency to 528, which is the frequency of love. Think about having the frequency of love in your home. How does that make you feel?
Well, I've experienced that in your house, and it was awesome.
That's right. So that's how amazing. So I keep it at 528. Sometimes I do 432 because it creates harmony in the frontal lobe. but 520 is a frequency of love. I just love it. And now I'm reading Hawkins' book on the consciousness, and everything we have has a frequency. The chair that I'm sitting in, my baby Fagala, he's the frequency of love. So I got to run the last quick commercial here.
Cool.
And then I guess, is there anything you want to share? Think about that before I.
Is there any other videos that we have to share, or did we do them all?
I think, I didn't think that we would get through all of that.
Fine.
Yeah, and they have been shared all on Instagram, YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn. But I just I think it's a good idea to tell people what's available, what we filmed. We filmed about Queen Anne's lace that we saw. We talked about the apples and sourcing. We did that. We didn't get to see today, which is my favorite, on mushrooms, and also on burdock root and composting. And so if you go to Suson Essentials, or, Carly, I can send you these too, and you can share them as well on your Facebook or your Instagram.
90 seconds.
Does that work?
Yeah, that totally works.
All right. So I'm actually just going to run our exit. Hold on.
Perfect.
And thank you for being here, Carly.
Yeah, thank you.
To the end of our show today, but you can hear every show in the archive at www.blogtalkradio.com/the-female-solution. You can also hear today's show on the Female Solution Facebook page. Go to www.facebook.com/the-female-solution. Leave your comments about today's show. You can always reach me on my website at www.naima.
Yeah, so grateful to have you here and to have you share the knowledge.
Our TV show.
We could go on for
listen to our radio
10
show.
more hours.
Order our books and be sure to get your copy of the book, The Female Solution. On behalf of our team of radio hosts, I'd like to thank all of you who participated in today's discussion.
10 seconds.
Our global family listening from all around the world, we say thank you. To our family in China, Sheshe, India, Zanyaba, Japan, Arigato, Korea, Kamsahamnida, Russia, Spasiba, Germany, Danke, Poland, Dziękuję, France, Merci, Spain, Gracias, Italy, Grazie, Egypt, Shukran, Ghana, Medasi, Nigeria, Eshe, South Africa, Gabonga, Senegal, Geret, Kenya, Asante, Israel, Toda, Pakistan, Shukriya, Afghanistan, Tashakkur, Saudi Arabia, Shukran. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you. And may peace be upon you and the mercy of God and God's blessings.
So I just want to remind everybody, September 9th at 11:11 a.m. Central Standard Time, please join a group of healers. Carly Rose will be with us as well. And we're going to lead you to clearing energy that no longer serves you, and then replace all of that with God's divine white light. The event is available to register for on Eventbrite. It'll be aired on LinkedIn, YouTube, Facebook, Podbean, and hopefully Blog Talk. We're not sure about that one just yet, but we are spreading the goodness around the world, and we want to bring that in for you. So please register.
It's free. Actually, there is an exchange. The exchange is that you either share this event, the healing event, with one other person, or you donate $1 to the charity of your choice. Okay? It's on the honor system. Namaste.
Namaste. Thank you, everybody.
Bye.